Assalamu guys, this is your host Kamran Ali Khan and welcome to another episode of Common Success powered by Drive Dia. तो आज के जो हमारे guest हैं, he's one of the founders of a startup known as sehat.com.pk, and what it does is that it's trying to revolutionize the pharmaceutical and retail sector of the economy, and they focus on three big elements. One is their customer focus. The other one they talk about innovation, and thirdly they're all about value for money. So without any further ado, please welcome the founder of sehat.com.pk, Mr. Bilal Mumtaz. Assalamu alaikum.
वालेकुम सलाम.
कैसे हैं आप?
बिल्कुल ठीक, आप सुनाएं.
जब मैं बिल्कुल ठीक ठाक. So Bilal, before we actually go into the whole startup thing कि मतलब आपका actually startup है कि tell us about yourself. मतलब who is Bilal as a person? मतलब लोग आपको किस तरह से perceive करते हैं? मतलब are you a bit of a jolly person, काफ़ी serious रहते हैं? तो थोड़ा सा अपने audience को भी अपने fans को भी थोड़ा सा बताएं.
I mean, I guess this is a big cliche, but a man is always known by the company he keeps.
Yeah.
And especially in the startup world, he's also known by the company he runs.
Yeah.
So, as much as I like to call myself, a jolly person, a happy-go-lucky sort of guy, I believe that the core of every business or the bloodline of every enterprise, be it a startup or a big company, is and how you're perceived by your own team and how you motivate them and bring them forward.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm that sort of person in a nutshell, where I do consider myself very people-oriented and relationship-focused.
Yeah.
And I think that this is a trait that's very pivotal.
I think that was one of your key elements of sehat.com.pk, that you're all about value for customers and all that, building that relationship and all that. So how मतलब आपका जो concept है, मतलब जो startup है, are you related to medicine or something like that? मतलब I just wanted to ask मतलब ये concept भी बहुत different आया था say.com or .pk, or were you doing something else, and how did you transition from that to being an entrepreneur or something?
So it's a very interesting question. My family has been in pharmaceuticals and healthcare for the past 7 years. They're part of a very big group called the Fazal Group.
Yeah,
which is a very well reputed, brand and institution at the same time in Pakistan. So in 2011, there came a point where we saw that the brick and mortar element of our group, the Pharma Plus franchise, was doing very well. All of our other subsequent or parallel lines of healthcare businesses were also doing well, and we found that at that time we needed to essentially prepare ourselves for the digital age.
Digitally, yeah, exactly.
It wasn't really easy to have that vision at that time, because we're talking about a period where basically mobile internet had come into the country.
I think यहाँ से 10 साल पुरानी I believe बात है कि 2011-12 में जब I think startup का भी culture इतना से नहीं आ रहा था.
बिल्कुल भी नहीं आ रहा था. And we obviously developed this from the ground. We didn't need any sort of funding from external investors. We bootstrapped ourselves the whole way through. We didn't need any incubation or acceleration. So after 3 years when we launched, right, we found that 6 months after our launch, the mobile internet revolution happened in Pakistan. So, we decided to, when we wanted to create our own brand, we wanted to go in the online space, and we didn't want to basically piggyback off the Fazaldeen name that much. So we could have easily called it Fazaldeen's Online Pharmacy, but we wanted to create a separate brand, and we wanted to employ a very, very good business model whereby we would procure medicines directly from the manufacturer and use a one-window shop, which is a warehouse in Lahore, to keep those medicines and then deliver those medicines to locations across the whole country, which equates to around 300 locations.
Okay, that's good. That's huge.
Yes, really thank you.
So, नहीं तो अब इसमें you talking about कि Fazaldeen, because for those of you, everyone knows कि Fazaldeen एक बहुत बड़ी मतलब pharma की chain में आता है, and वो एक ऑनलाइन प्रेजेंस में मतलब वर दे मतलब रियली इनटू द ऑनलाइन थिंग, या आपने उनको फोकस किया नहीं हमें ऑनलाइन जाना शुरू हो, बिकॉज इट्स ऑल अबाउट द डिजिटल इकोनॉमी, इट्स ऑल अबाउट कि ई कॉमर्स का, और जाहिर है कि कोविड ने भी ये चीज़ बहुत वाज़ेह कर दी थी, उससे पहले नहीं था.
आई नो कि आपने मतलब आप ज़्यादा जिक्र करते हैं स्टार्टअप्स और फाउंडर्स के ऊपर, लेकिन मैं अपने अगर वालिद साहब को कोट कर सकता हूँ क्योंकि हैंड था प्रोजेक्ट में, तो ही हैड द एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ रनिंग मल्टीपल चेन्स ऑफ अ फार्मेसी brand over the past 45 years, and he had all these issues that he was talking about, in terms of how your supply chain can be very well tainted even if you have a reputed name. He talked about the pain points a lot of customers had, not just in Lahore but outside of Lahore, who had to come into the city to get genuine medicines. And so it was sort of decided, right, that apart from just the obvious monetary benefits of saving costs through a one window operation,
Yeah.
there was that potential to reach all these customers all throughout Pakistan through starting this portal.
Yeah, that's
So-
perfect. That's really good. तो sehat.com.pk मतलब आपने ये आइडेंटिफाई किया the problem that I'm looking into it कि you wanted to deliver medicine to all across all corners of Pakistan. वो भी ऐसे लोग जो कि access नहीं कर सकते for some odd reason. And then you came up with the solution कि let's go to a web-based thing so that we kind of delivered that our product to the intended audience. The impact, हम बात करते हैं प्रॉब्लम, हम बात करते हैं सोल्यूशन की. व्हाट वाज द इम्पैक्ट लाइक, मतलब जब आप ये चीज़ लेके आए, वर द पीपल वर दे हैप्पी, वर दे नंबर वन, या वर दे लाइक कि यार अच्छा मेडिसिन तो हम जाके भी ले सकते हैं, हमारे घर के पास ही क्या कहते हैं सारा कुछ होता है. सो ऑनलाइन ज़ाहिर है कि आवर पेरेंट्स इससे पहले शायद ऑनलाइन बाइंग ना करते, बट एक वो जो ट्रांजिशन एक आया है, तो इम्पैक्ट इसका कैसा था, मतलब वंस यू व्हेन यू लॉन्च्ड इट एंड देन what was the reaction from the customers and obviously from the whole audience?
I'd say the reaction was relatively very positive right when we launched, and even to this day, if I told you about the amount of cities we've delivered to from that 300 list, the list of 300 potential cities, we've actually delivered to around 270 cities from that list.
Wow.
So we've reached those touch points, and on average we deliver to around 110 to 120 cities all over Pakistan.
Oh,
And yes,
really
these
good.
apprehensions come from people living in very developed urban centers in Pakistan, where they feel that that if a pharmacy is right next to them, why can't they just go to the pharmacy and get their medicines? But like I said, oftentimes we see a lot of inefficacies in the medicine supply chain in Pakistan.
Exactly.
Not just in terms of guaranteeing quality of every medicine, but assuring that an ample amount of medicine is stocked at one particular location. The fear of a customer running around the entire city to get singular medicine is also what would actually convince him to go online. Even if he lives in a place like Lahore where pharmacies are abound everywhere.
So in terms of marketing, I mean obviously we get that it's a Fazaldeen project and it was backed by Fazaldeen. What about the pricing portion? Were you selling medicine at a discounted price, or you were just saying okay, it's like from a promotional point of view, and then we'll keep it at the same rate that you're actually getting medicine from a pharmacy or something like that? So because obviously when you have to transition customers from conventional to online marketplace, you need to have that touch point, the hook that actually gathers that customer. So कोई आपने pricing में कोई differentiation की थी, या what was that?
There was, for the most part, in the majority of our products, which accumulate around 70-75% of our SKUs or product ranges, we do carry discounts. And those discounts are based on the fact that we do direct dealing with manufacturers for a solely online project, not for keeping stock in multiple locations, where anyone from the public can just come in and see a pack and play around with it and take it back. So the pricing was a very big advantage. In fact, if you look at our USPs, our three main USPs are actually affordability, reliability, and convenience. We put these three USPs together in showcasing our brand.
Yeah, that's really good. I think it's all about accessibility, that like you just mentioned, and actually satisfying your customers, because your customers are like your family. I would say कि they'll always come to you knowing that कि अच्छा इसने हमारा मतलब ख्याल रखा, he has delivered the intended product to us and whatnot. So let's talk about the startup culture. मतलब मैं बात करना चाहूँगा startups की, मैं बात करना चाहूँगा entrepreneurs की. We have seen कि पिछले 5 सालों में, I think not 5, maybe 10 years के बहुत ज़्यादा startups आए. I think हज़ारों में startups आए, and there were quite a few जिन लोगों ने fundings भी ली, they were internationally recognized and all that. उससे पहले we were all about conventional businesses कि हमने business setup करना, हमारे पास इतना capital होगा तो हम ये खोल सकते हैं what not. तो आपने किस तरह से देखे पूरे 10 साल में, knowing के you belong from a very conventional business, अगर आपने transition किया, you had that both experiences of online and conventional businesses, तो वो एक अगर मैं आपसे comparison करूँ, which one has gone higher, or higher तो नहीं कहूँगा, but which one has created more of an impact? I would say either it's startups who have gone online, or either it's conventional businesses जो कि अभी तक वो market में उनकी presence है, अगर वो ऑनलाइन नहीं भी गए, but still customers will go to them at any point in time. तो वो उसका क्या मतलब impact रहा है in terms of startups and in terms of businesses?
In terms of conventional businesses, right, we have to look at the fact that all the giant players in the market are only going to get bigger as time goes by. And then there's a lot essentially that online players have to offer in terms of basically getting more Pakistanis to start purchasing from them later on. I also belong to a support group for e-commerce sites called the Pakistan E-commerce Consortium.
Yeah.
And when I held a conference around 2 or 3 years ago, we found that the eGMV percentage in terms of retail is a staggering like 0.34%, which means only one out of every you could say 250, 300 retail orders in Pakistan is made online. You compare that to other established markets like America, it's 10%. In China, it's actually one out of every 4 orders is online. So we've definitely got a very long way to go, I think, right? We're still in a market where brick and mortar retail, especially if you talk about not just business, but the retail market specifically, will continue to generate, way more income and transactions in the online space. But I'd like to think that the online space definitely has made more of an impact.
Exactly.
We can put it that way. Where we're reaching more customers, where they're collecting more data points, and where a lot of synergies exists between, say, e-commerce sites from different industries and people in the tech or software space that want to develop, data solutions based on these things.
Definitely. I think because
retail was one very big example of that.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think obviously we can relate that to COVID as well. I mean, I think after COVID, we have seen that almost every single person is, transitioning its purchasing power towards online rather than, going to the conventional place. Obviously, knowing the SOPs, restrictions, and all that, but obviously, online has created an impact. Let's talk about your achievements actually. And one of those achievements recently came at the Ecom Awards that you won for the best category in health, I believe. तो उसका experience मतलब कैसा था? How did you actually did you apply for it or were they what's the whole process to me? काश अगर मैंने भी अगर करना पड़ेगा आपसे पूछूं मैं इसका क्या scene है award का?
So this was essentially the inaugural e-commerce awards of Pakistan, and it was done on a very large scale because it was hosted by Prophet magazine. And they wanted to basically hold an event like an award ceremony, considering COVID and the restrictions that were in place. A physical ceremony was obviously out of the question. So what they did was they elaborately had, everybody vote, give their mobile number, they'd have to enter an OTP, and then, that vote would count.
Okay.
I was essentially invited to vote by people in the invited to apply from people in the e-commerce space, especially those, part of the management committee, and that is essentially how it started out. And, hopefully in the coming years to come, this will be marketed in a much bigger scale and more e-commerce sites can come in. And
तो आपके साथ I think और भी शायद थे, मतलब it was not just you, I think एक दो और भी थे जो कि pharmaceutical मतलब health category के थे. You were the only one that was part of the category.
No, there were a lot of others. There was like around 6 or 7 other players, and of the pharmacy players there was E-Meds, there was Dubai, and Airlift as well. Applied for that category, even though they just recently came into the pharmacy game.
So I think इस तरह के awards से I think startup founders, they feel a sense of, satisfaction कि हम कुछ करना चाह रहे हैं अपनी economy के लिए, and this I think the e-commerce awards will create that one step towards achieving a much bigger goal. I think जहाँ तक हम pharmaceuticals की बात करें या हम जहाँ तक पूरे एक overall economy की बात करें, I think pharma comes right at the top 5 sectors I believe in the economy, and जब से COVID I think हुआ है तब से I think pharmaceutical की जो industry है that has skyrocketed, even obviously online अगर उसने presence अपनी show की है. How has your business has changed from before COVID and after COVID? Were they obviously there were a huge number of profits and all that, and वो किस तरह का आपका experience रहा before COVID and obviously during the COVID times?
So ultimately, right, if I had to pinpoint, certain periods, not exactly in like history per se, but in recent times where a lot of healthcare companies have made a lot of money, those are essentially times of uncertainty. Those are times not when they essentially have a lot of things in stock and they can just sell them. It's when they actually have to go and work and research in the market as to what's available and then provide those products to, the customers in question. So in our case, right, what we found was, when COVID essentially struck around a year ago, it took around 2 months after the first case being reported in Pakistan for a lockdown to be imposed. At that time, right, every single, KN95 or N95 mask had gone out of stock because a lot of people had exported those items to foreign markets.
I think उन्होंने business भी शुरू कर दिए थे mask के.
सारे लोगों ने business शुरू कर दिए थे. फिर ड्रैप ने कहा था कि आप ये नहीं कर सकते जब तक आप medical license ना लेते हैं और जब तक आप मतलब इसको basically register ना करवाते हैं सही channel से.
Exactly.
So that was a lot of pandemonium, and more so I guess with masks is, for us we actually started getting in contact with a lot of suppliers that started making hand sanitizers more as a way to pivot from their actual business lines.
Okay, that's
so
good.
We did see a lot of encouraging numbers. If I were to essentially compare 2020 to the year before, it was like I'd say revenue did not go up probably as much as we were expecting. In fact, a lot of brick and mortar enterprises were actually reporting losses from the year before. Because what would happen was a lot of people would go and hoard a lot of items in the beginning and then just not come back, thinking that this pandemic would last forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Hamara to ye tha that we saw around 25 to 30% growth in orders and then 40% growth in GMV. So those are very encouraging figures for us to carry forward. And a lot more work for us to do. That was just like a starting point.
Yeah, exactly.
Now we know exactly how to position ourselves in this
I think a lot of businesses are I think after in the COVID times, I think a lot of businesses have come up with different marketing strategies to try to make sure that they adjust with the COVID situation, keeping in mind a lot of businesses have actually started in the COVID because of the online presence and all that. But मेरी आपसे शायद पहले भी बात हुई थी कि your business is web based and it's not मतलब app based, and people are trying to go towards app based mobile application. तो आपका भी कोई plan है मतलब इस तरह से कि you're shifting your business towards mobile applications so that it's going to be much more easier, anyone who's outside they can just log into sehat.com.pk's app and order what sort of medicine they want. तो कभी आपने प्लान किया फिर इसको आगे फ्यूचर में या किस तरह से आपने इसको अभी आगे लेके चलना है?
जी बिल्कुल प्लान किया. Actually we do have quite a seamless experience on our website for ordering medicines because we're partnered with a few courier companies and payment partners, and I think the information architecture is there. It's just that when we sort of have plans to even upgrade our own internal software, then the app will go hand in hand with that.
Okay. That makes sense. So मैं obviously मेरा एक सवाल जो पहले मैंने आपसे किया था, that was the startup culture and all that. आपका जो पूरा मतलब एक तो कॉन्सेप्ट है ये how many मतलब months have you been incubated at Kickstart में आप कब से मतलब हैं, and you have meeting with different startups as well, तो मतलब क्या reaction मतलब आता है what is there in the market, मतलब is it really good, is it मतलब किस तरह से, because you are in the space where a lot of startups are doing different sort of work, तो कैसा मतलब एक अलग सी vibe है किस तरह से मतलब?
हाँ काफ़ी ऐसा सवाल है. Actually as of I think today it will be officially 2 months since I've been a part of Kickstart co-working space officially as a paying member. I've known the founders for a very long time. They've been doing great work. And what I find is, which is what I found from the beginning, because I've had the experience of talking to a lot of startup founders who've been incubated or accelerated. Those who've been bootstrapped, those who have raised funding early on, and I guess those that are trying to, make something of themselves in co-working spaces. So the feeling that I get from co-working spaces, especially ones like Kickstart, is that when you have an environment where you're connecting freelancers to people in tech, to people who are working, say, with foreign clients, to generally entrepreneurs from different walks of life, I think it's a much more productive way to bring your startup forward, because you get the opportunity to interact with different people, and those are people from your age, people you're comfortable interacting with, not like say with a mentor who's God knows how many years older than you, even though you might have a lot of experience, right? There's going to be that level of gravitas that will sort of stymie or prevent the creative process. So, I have been consulting a lot of startups as well, based on my experience with Sehat, and Founders Institute also was something that gave me that push. Having spoken to a lot of startup founders in Pakistan, I found that, not just because of the fact that I'm relatively young, for what you would call a mentor.
वैसे क्या उम्र है वैसे आपकी? मैंने आपसे पूछा
30.
मतलब मुझे आप काफ़ी यंग मतलब 25-26 साल के मुझे लगे, टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट. मतलब जब आप आए थे यहाँ पे, आई थॉट दैट यू वर 25-26, बट लाइक 30 कोई भी उम्र नहीं, मतलब यंग ही होती है 30.
हाँ तो meaning like and I think one great advantage that I saw where I could sort of help people out was I'd have direct experience with running, an e-commerce site.
Yeah.
A lot of people over here, they just jumped in head first in, becoming mentors for incubation centers. They might have had a substantial experience in their respective industries, but where I sort of add value is a direct experience with e-commerce, and I'm very, very happy to meet everybody who seeks my advice, even if it's just over a cup of coffee. I'm interested to learn about them and their stories, even if I'm not actually going to be consulting them or working with them.
Right.
And
So
I really like the work you're doing as well.
Yeah, it's an all-round package. I think entrepreneurs, they're all about taking opportunities. They're able to identify risks, and they're all a dynamic package. I would say that. And हमारा भी जो focus है, that is all about sharing success stories of entrepreneurs. Sharing what they have done so far in their journey. और हमारा एक बड़ा important सवाल है जो कि हम हमेशा हर बंदे से पूछते हैं. इसका कोई कॉन्क्रीट आंसर नहीं. आई वुड से दैट कि इट्स समथिंग जो कि बड़ा एक वेग सा इसका मतलब वेग भी नहीं कहूँगा, इसके बहुत सारे मल्टीपल एस्पेक्ट्स हैं कि इन योर ओपिनियन व्हाट इज़ द मीनिंग ऑफ सक्सेस. I mean, our whole concept is like common success, and we talk about the success stories of entrepreneurs. So, what, in your opinion, in your perspective, what is the meaning of success? I would say.
I mean, it's probably not a definition that every entrepreneur wants to hear.
It's not because a lot of people say कि हमें पैसों से प्यार है यार, हम satisfy करना चाहते हैं लोग. मतलब I don't know, but आपके लिए क्या है मतलब वैसे success?
वो इस तरह है कि success is essentially the ability to be comfortable in your own skin. It's the acknowledgement of how you can keep your mind busy even if you're, say, not making money, or yes, making money is great, of course.
Yeah.
Endorphins वहाँ से release हो जाते हैं, किसी को doubt नहीं है उससे. I mean, it definitely boosts your confidence, but ultimately, right, you've got to sort of, I say, defining even what your hobbies are is an element of success, and it's essentially अगर मैं एक proper मतलब single one liner नहीं दे सकता उसके बारे में, तो success के I think दो सबसे main proponents ये है कि it's something that's very habitual. Success is not an act, it's actually a habit.
It's an habit.
Because like if you are somebody who's generally a very positive thinking person, if you're not somebody who takes other people down and wants to collaborate with them, if you keep yourself, say, physically fit, get up in the morning, meditate, even journal, read a lot of books, really develop a strong work ethic, then you can choose to do anything in life, and those things or those processes that you implement will contribute more to success than just, say, bookish knowledge or knowing something from the top. And then I guess the second main proponent of success is that it's something that is reflected from what people say about you when you're not in the room.
Yeah, that's true, because I think a lot of people हमारा होता है ना कि यार चलो हम एक कमरे में अगर 4 लोग बैठे हैं और 3 को एक बंदा पसंद नहीं आ रहा, तो आप उसके मुंह पे नहीं कहेंगे, लेकिन जब चला जाएगा यार ये देख इसकी ये हरकत है ये वो, आई थिंक वो मैं कहूँगा इट्स आई थिंक वन ऑफ आवर हैबिट्स, आई थिंक हम लोग वो करते हैं. बट आई थिंक एंटरप्रेन्योर्स इटसेल्फ या पूरा जो भी आपने जैसे बताया कि छोटी छोटी चीज़ों में अगर आप मतलब इफ़ यू लव एन हॉबी और समथिंग लाइक दैट, उसमें भी सक्सेस है. या सक्सेस तब है कि व्हेन यू आर रियली वेल, मतलब आपकी आई वुड से कि लोगों के सामने आप वो नहीं है, मतलब आपकी कोई नेगेटिव वाइब नहीं है, मतलब आप अगर बैठे हैं तो आपके बारे में लोग अच्छा ही सोचेंगे. मतलब इट्स नॉट लाइक कि मुंह पे सब अच्छा है, पीठ पीछे भाई छुड़ी उन्होंने मारनी है पीठ पीछे. तो आई थिंक सक्सेस इज ऑल अबाउट बीइंग देयर इन द फोर फ्रंट एंड नोइंग के the people that you're around with, they really care about you, and they won't say anything bad to you. So in terms of मेरा ये तो आखिरी वैसे मेरा सवाल है कि वैसे ये सवाल है कि फ्यूचर का प्लान, वैसे मुझे वैसे पहले मुझे पूछ लेना चाहिए था फ्यूचर, मैंने सक्सेस पहले पूछ ली कि व्हाट इज़ अ फ्यूचर प्लान. मतलब आई थिंक sehat.com.pk को इंटरनेशनल एक प्रेजेंस देनी है आपने कि जस्ट द पाकिस्तान, मतलब द टारगेट ऑडियंस दैट यू आर ट्राइंग टू कैप्चर टू, क्योंकि आई थिंक हमेशा हम देखते हैं कि बिजनेसेस जो हैं वो बाहर भी अपने आप को इंटरनेशनल एक्सपोजर देना चाहते हैं इन सम वे और दी अदर. सो अब सोचा है आपने इंटरनेशनल एक्सपोजर का? या
इंटरनेशनल का फिल वक्त मैंने नहीं सोचा.
ये मैंने उनको आइडिया वैसे दिया एंड यू शुड थिंक अबाउट इट.
मीना रीजन में चल सकता है क्योंकि वहाँ पे सेहत का नाम मतलब चल सकता है. But what I'm actually thinking about is the fact that integration or development of, say, telemedicine hand in hand with the pharmacy platform is one very big vision for the future. One initiative actually two initiatives that I have sort of spearheaded right now, but obviously can go much further ahead down the road with more focus and much bigger team and resources. Are one, the ability to essentially disperse medical equipment in Pakistan,
Right.
especially if we can find out a way to implement some sort of IoT behind it. So what we were doing before was we were distributing medical grade air purifiers around 2 years ago, but those all sold out very quickly. And the agency, I don't know, it's they really want to,
they want to try it out again.
We want to try it out again, and agency is really serious about this market. So there's a lot of talks on that, and that obviously, at that time we were just selling the device, but having thought about it, right, having even say been involved in corresponding with the makerspace community over here, I think we can even start making our own medical equipment in this country, and we can act as a marketer or even a guide for those entrepreneurs who don't know about TRAP and registration, and go hand in hand with what they want to do. And the other initiative which we're still doing is providing marketing services for pharmaceutical companies, and then essentially slowly getting rid of the concept of the medical rep.
That's really good. I think जो भी आपने plan out किया, some of the initiatives you just highlighted, I think wish you all the best on that. And I think ये इसकी market है, I think अगर हमारी थोड़ी सी will हो और हम ये चीज़ करें, I think we can make an impact in any sort of way. Well, thank you so much, Bilal, for giving us your time and being part of Common Success podcast episode. Guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. sehat.com.pk. The links are going to be in the description below. Do follow them. Do check out their business. And जिन initiatives के बारे में बिलाल ने बात की, just try to focus on those initiatives in the coming years. और आप कहेंगे यार अच्छा हाँ ये हमने podcast में सुना था कि यार ये बात हो रही थी. तो thank you so much once again. And till then, from our Kickstart podcast room, Allah Hafiz.
Well, Hafiz. Can you take a few pictures of us?